Sorry about the wind, but it is Saskatchewan and it is always windy. So we are back at the South Farm. We are caught up combining in both locations, and we swathed up a pile of ground down here at the South Farm. A pile of ground, thousands of acres of it actually. That swather never stopped. It was going around the clock. Because the reason why, or I'll try to get behind the wind, is because we swathed due to second growth, regrowth, 3 different stages because of all the rain. This is actually IP canola, and it just shells out really easy, so you want to lay it in a swath. And anyways, long story short, it's all gone anyway. That's so wild. Anyways, we always get our winds out of the west. Always get our winds out of the west. So we always got to go east and west with our swaths. Always, 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 always. Well, this is just happens to be the year with the, little salt on the wound. We got big winds, and the winds is subsided actually right now. I know it seemed windy, but it's gone down. We got a crazy wind directly out of the north and hit all these acres perpendicular. Rolled this stuff. Just rolled it. Acres and acres and acres of this stuff just got rolled. Now, we didn't have the biggest crop out here to begin with, so there was no straw to punch it down. It was rolled with a swath roller, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because it's pretty much gone anyway. So we're gonna go up and back with a little pickup header and try to pick up as much as we can. But the whole field, and I don't mean the whole field, I mean like we're talking mega acres here, is this is the best we got here. Nice little fluff of the swath. But the majority of it looks like that. As you can clearly tell, there used to be windrows out here, and there is no windrows anymore. Here, let's keep zooming in here. It is just more or less tumbled, flipped over canola. And now the downside to having your canola flipped over and tumbled is it shells it out. See that? That's what happens when it makes one roll. You start making multiple rolls, there's nothing left of it. So you're like, well, Mike, you just got to kind of pick up a side, at which we will. But if it makes 2 rolls, there's nothing in there anyway, so don't even waste your time. So this is what we're going to be dealing with. Oh, that's so crazy. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's still a little breezy, but the wind has gone down. Be like, Mike, I can't hear a word you're saying. I know. Welcome to Saskatchewan, boys. Okay, I apologize about that. It is breezy. It is breezy. So, it just is what it is. It is what it is. That's going to hurt whatever yield we thought we were going to get out there. I was actually pretty optimistic about this canola. It really was. I'm like, dang, this is actually pretty freaking good. For the conditions this stuff had to go through. Please don't drive on my canola. Yeah, okay, well. Yeah, it's wild. So this is the con of swathing, you guys. Sorry about the mud on my window, but this is the con of swathing. And I know you guys got lots of questions like, Mike, why did you swath it? Why didn't you leave it stand? As I stated before, most of this stuff, I shouldn't say all of it. A chunk of this stuff is IP canola. So the pod integrity is not as good as, like, for example, your Liberty Links. Liberty Links, you can just let stand there, and it can be waving in this crazy wind and it won't even shell out. But you let a canola that doesn't have the same pod integrity, and it just it's like mustard. It just shells out in the wind and you just lose it all anyway. So you kind of need to actually put that in swath, or you're just going to lose it. You don't have to, but I would probably, you better plan on losing 20% to shelling. 20%, you're going to wipe it right off the board. So you don't want to just go lose 20%. So you throw it in a swath, and normally it's not a problem, because normally the winds come out of the west, except for this freak storm. Not even a storm, it's just a low that's going through, and it just comes straight out of that north. That's just unfortunate. That's what we call this salt on the wound. That's all that is. That's just salt on the wound, you guys. Just salt on the wound. But that's going to be a mess to clean up. We're not going to get it all, but we'll try to get the biggest chunks possible. And yeah, So that's the reason why we swathed it. If you're wondering, that's why we swathed it, because it needed to be swathed. Turns out we probably should have let it stand, taking our 20. Wow, this windmill would have really shelled it out though. You might have lost 30-some%, a third of it. Well, we lost half of it out there, so who knew though? That's farming. That's farming. That's literally the definition of farming. You're not guaranteed anything in farming. Not guaranteed anything. Hope for the best, pray for the best, but you're not guaranteed nothing. And the second reason why we wanted to swath some is for kochia, here over here. We didn't swath it all. Most of it we did. This field here, we left this field because it's pretty clean. Let me zoom in. There's one little patch of kochia there, but we sprayed the rest. You can see the tracks down there. Anyways, so we did that for kochia reasons, because the last thing, canola doesn't keep well in a bin at the best of times. Never mind, you pack in a bunch of kochia weed with it. And you're like, well, Mike, how come you don't keep your kochia out of your canola? That is super hard to do when you're in drought-like conditions. Super hard, because kochia loves drought conditions. Like this here, that's kochia. And kochia loves drought, loves it. And it drops like 70,000 seeds per plant. So it's really hard to get ahead of. And there's a lot of group 9 resistant kochia, which is Roundup. There's a ton of group 2 resistant. Well, everything's group 2 resistant. Like this kochia is just, it's so hard to kill. Like it's got hairs on it and it just repels that chem. And I'm telling you, it's super hard to kill. So you can go and spend a pile of money on chemical, a pile of money, and then still have subpar results. Or you can just knock it down, kills it dead because you cut it off just like canola. And then you can store it because it dries up the seeds. Because most of the seeds are going to go in the tank. It dries up those seeds. You don't want tough weed seeds in your canola. That's a recipe for disaster. Big recipe for disaster. Now we are in the drier part of the South Farm. Like you gotta remember, like we had all this fall rain, right? Like it sprouted everything. Sprouted the chickpeas, sprouted the lentils, sprouted the winter wheat, sprouted the durum. The only thing it didn't sprout is the canola. Like seriously, it sprouted everything, turned everything to feed. But prior to that though, you gotta remember that it didn't rain until like halfway through July, right? So it cooked our crops, just cooked them. So we didn't have much to swath. We didn't have much. Clearly you can tell by looking at that stubble, there was not much out there. Well, now there isn't, obviously. There's nothing out there. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. You gotta laugh it. You gotta laugh about it. Because if you don't laugh it, if you can't laugh about it, then mental health is real and it's bad news. Bad news. So you just gotta laugh about it. It's very unfortunate. Yeah, it's bad. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's just bad. You know, this is the just running over my canola. Oh yeah. This here is the one field that we left. And we left it because it's pretty clean. We did the first 2 rounds on this one because there was some kochia on these first 2 rounds. But yeah, no, guys, that's farming. Oh man, that hurts though. That sucks. Anyways, let's go see what else. Let's go see what else we can find. See what else we can do. So you wonder, how do you get kochia weed? Like you have to be, kochia and Russian thistle are both 2 weeds that thrive in dry climates, and this is kochia. But you get a couple farmers, if you get a couple neighbors that don't do the best job at controlling their weeds, you get these big winds and it blows it into your field. And remember, most of them are resistant, right? And it blows that resistance. So I've got lots of pictures. If I can remember to insert those pictures in here. I should just be quiet for a second so you can look at them if I do insert them. Otherwise, it's just going to be this awkward silence. But see those trails? Hopefully I inserted the pictures. If you see those trails, that is a tumbleweed that is blown across from the neighbor's field. It's blown across. And you see that zigzag pattern? Yep. That is a resistant weed that I've sprayed that field, but none of those seeds of that weed died. That is what happens. You get some people, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus here, you guys. I'm just saying, you get some people that only put half rates on, they half-ass stuff. It's just like they're trying to save a buck. You can't save a buck when it comes to chemical. You have to hit it with the full meal deal and kill it dead. If you don't kill it dead, you only half wound it. Not quite kill it. You're just breeding resistance. You're just breeding it. It's just breeding. It smells like breeding resistance. And then that sets seed, and then it rolls, and then it just creates it. Then it's harder to kill for the next person, or maybe for you if it's still on your field. It's just bad news. It's bad news. And then they blow weeds. They blow from the north, then they blow across your field. Those aren't mine, by the way. So, see? They blow in your field, and then they go all the way across. And then it's bad news bears. So, now we all have some weed problems. I'm not throwing anyone. No one's perfect. No one's perfect. That's why we all try to do the best that we can. But that resistant crap is bad. It's bad. What in the world is that? All right then.